Hello and welcome to Who Died Today, the channel where we honor legends who've left us recently. Today, we reflect on 4 remarkable individuals whose legacies continue to shape the world. From the creative heart of a Massachusetts restaurateur who became the muse of a timeless song, to a game show host whose voice became synonymous with American television, we'll also pay tribute to a horror icon whose chilling portrayal of a killer will never be forgotten, and a social justice advocate whose work transformed evangelical thought. Their contributions have shaped their industries, but their personal stories and lasting impacts will inspire us for years to come. Hit like, subscribe, and join us as we celebrate the extraordinary lives of legends whose influence will never fade. Number 4, Alice Brock, the woman behind the restaurant and the song. Born February 28, 1941, Brooklyn, New York, United States. Alice May Brock was many things: a visionary artist, a beloved restaurateur, a writer, and the muse for one of the most iconic songs of the 20th century. Born in Brooklyn and raised in a creative environment, Brock's life seemed destined for artistic endeavors. After studying at Sarah Lawrence College, she moved to Massachusetts, where she would leave an indelible mark on the Berkshires and beyond. In the 1960s, Alice took a significant leap and opened her first restaurant, The Back Room, in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Her restaurants would soon become cultural hubs for artists, musicians, and intellectuals, particularly the likes of folk singer Arlo Guthrie, who frequented her restaurant. It was here, in her kitchen, that the iconic song Alice's Restaurant was born, immortalizing her name in the annals of pop culture. What many didn't know was the personal side of the story. Alice had developed a deep friendship with Guthrie, but her role in the song went beyond mere inspiration. As she recalled in interviews, she felt like a silent partner in the movement of 1960s counterculture. Although the song gave her much more than just fame, it gave her a place in history. Brock would go on to open 2 more restaurants, Take Out Alice and Alice's at Avaloch, further solidifying her reputation as an entrepreneurial force. But her life was not without its struggles. Despite the success of her restaurants, Brock was often in the shadow of her newfound fame. The fame that Guthrie's song had brought her was both a blessing and a curse, famed but also often misunderstood, as the song painted a very idealized version of her. In later years, Alice distanced herself from the public eye, choosing a quieter life in Wellfleet, Massachusetts, where she continued to paint and write. Her cookbook, Alice's Restaurant Cookbook, was filled with recipes that reflected the artistic and bohemian spirit of her life. She wrote about food, friendship, and what it meant to truly nourish the soul. She was married to Ray Brock, a woodworker, who was also featured in Guthrie's song. They had a deeply supportive and creative relationship, but their marriage would eventually end. In interviews, Alice explained that the pressures of fame had contributed to their separation. Nevertheless, she remained a steadfast figure in her community, a mother to her son, and a beacon of the 1960s artistic revolution. Alice Brock passed away on November 21, 2024, at the age of 83. She leaves behind a rich legacy of artistic expression and cultural contribution. Though the world will remember her for her fleeting moment in the spotlight, those who knew her saw a woman of depth, creativity, and undeniable influence. Number 3, Chuck Woolery, the voice of game shows and a pop culture staple. Born March 16, 1941, Ashland, Kentucky, United States. If you grew up in the 1970s, 1980s, or 1990s, chances are you remember Chuck Woolery. From Wheel of Fortune to Love Connection, Woolery was the face of daytime television and a fixture of American pop culture. His charming smile and deep, sonorous voice became synonymous with some of the most beloved game shows of the era. Woolery's journey to the top was not a straight path, but his legacy is one that shaped the face of American television. Chuck Woolery's career began as a singer in the 1960s, where he was part of the musical duo The Avant-Garde, known for their hit song Naturally Stoned. While his music career didn't take off as he had hoped, it paved the way for his eventual leap into television. In the mid-1970s, Woolery found his calling as a game show host, landing the role of host on Wheel of Fortune at a time when the show was still finding its audience. His warm yet straightforward persona resonated with viewers, and he became synonymous with the show. After his time on Wheel of Fortune, Woolery moved on to host Love Connection, a dating game show that became a cultural phenomenon. His easygoing charm and quick wit made him a fan favorite, and Love Connection became a staple of American television throughout the 1980s. Woolery's career didn't stop there. He also hosted shows like Scrabble, Lingo, and The Newlywed Game, leaving behind a diverse body of work that showcased his adaptability and charisma. But behind the scenes, Woolery's life was filled with personal ups and downs. He was married 3 times, with his longest marriage being to Terry Nelson, whom he wed in 1985. The couple had children, but Woolery's personal life was often marked by public struggles. His son, Chad Woolery, tragically passed away in a motorcycle accident in 1986, a loss that haunted him for the rest of his life. Woolery once said of his son's death, "It's the hardest thing I've ever had to endure, and there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think of him." In his later years, Woolery became more politically outspoken, especially through his podcast, Blunt Force Truth, where he voiced his conservative views. This shift in his public persona garnered mixed reactions. While many fans appreciated his candor, others found his opinions divisive. Chuck Woolery passed away on November 23, 2024, at the age of 83 in Texas. He will be remembered as one of the most enduring game show hosts in history, someone who brought warmth, humor, and excitement into the homes of millions. Despite his controversies and personal struggles, Woolery's legacy remains deeply embedded in the fabric of American television. Number 2. Michael Villella, the iconic villain who is more than meets the eye. Born 1940, Michael Villella's name may not be as widely recognized as some of his peers, but his portrayal of Russ Thorn in the Slumber Party Massacre left an indelible mark on the horror genre. Villella was a master of his craft, and though his career in film was limited, the impact of his most famous role cannot be overstated. Villella was born in 1940, but it was his work in the slasher genre during the early 1980s that ensured his place in cinematic history. The Slumber Party Massacre was a quintessential entry in the slasher genre, one that blended horror with moments of dark humor. Villella's performance as the deranged Russ Thorn was chilling, and his portrayal of a psychotic killer earned him a cult following among horror fans. Behind the scenes, Villella was a deeply private individual. He rarely sought the spotlight and often turned down interviews. Those who worked with him describe him as kind, generous, and nothing like the menacing characters he portrayed on screen. Villella was a father to Chloe Villella, who later confirmed his passing on social media in a heartfelt tribute. Chloe's words, "May you rest in peace, Daddy," reflected the love and admiration she had for her father, a sentiment that was shared by those who knew him personally. Despite his success in the horror genre, Villella struggled with being typecast. He was often offered roles that played on his sinister on-screen persona, but Villella had aspirations beyond horror films. He sought opportunities in drama and independent cinema, but never quite achieved the same level of recognition. Nonetheless, his legacy in the horror community remains strong, with his portrayal of Russ Thorne still regarded as one of the standout performances of the genre. Michael Villella passed away at the age of 84 on 23 November 2024, leaving behind a legacy that will continue to inspire fans and filmmakers alike. Though his career may have been brief, the impact of his work is undeniable. 1. Tony Campolo, the evangelical visionary who challenged the status quo. Born February 25, 1935, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States. Tony Campolo's name is synonymous with evangelical Christianity, but his influence extends far beyond the pulpit. A sociologist, Baptist pastor, author, and public speaker, Campolo was a leader of the evangelical left and a voice for social justice within the Christian community. His work touched countless lives, and his legacy continues to resonate with those who seek a faith that is inclusive, compassionate, and unafraid to challenge society norms. Born in Philadelphia in 1935, Campolo earned his PhD in sociology from Temple University. His academic background provided a unique perspective on faith, and he became known for his ability to integrate sociological insights with Christian teachings. He was a beloved figure in the evangelical community, but he was not afraid to speak out on controversial issues. Campolo was a strong advocate for LGBTQ+ inclusion in the church, poverty alleviation, and racial justice, issues that were often met with resistance from more conservative factions of the evangelical movement. Campolo's spiritual guidance extended to U.S. President Bill Clinton, for whom he served as a spiritual advisor. His influence reached the highest levels of government, yet he remained steadfast in his commitment to social justice and activism. Throughout his life, Campolo wrote numerous books, lectured around the world, and inspired a generation of Christians who believed in a faith that demanded action. Tony Campolo passed away on November 19, 2024, at the age of 89. He leaves behind a remarkable legacy of social activism, academic achievement, and spiritual guidance. His work continues to inspire those who believe that faith is not just about personal salvation, but about creating a more just and compassionate world. The passing of these four individuals, Alice Brock, Chuck Woolery, Michael Villella, and Tony Campolo, marks the end of an era in their respective fields. Their contributions will continue to inspire future generations, whether through art, television, cinema, or social justice. Their legacies remind us that the lives we lead, no matter how public or private, leave a lasting imprint on the world around us. May we honor their memory by living lives that reflect the passion, commitment, and courage they exemplified.